The night of our wedding, my A-list actor husband, Damien Hale, left me for a private rendezvous with his ex-girlfriend. When he returned, reeking of alcohol, he held me and whispered her name, Luna Latham. The next morning, Luna posted on her social media, "Some loves can only be spoken in whispers, hidden by time. I wish you happiness." Her fans swarmed the comments, branding me a homewrecker. My agent, Carla, was practically having a meltdown. I scrolled through my phone, completely unbothered. "What's the rush?" I said calmly. "Leaked the photos from their hotel room last night. Tell the press it was me, the devastated wife, who caught them in the act. And remember," I added, "censor the photos, but make sure everyone can recognize that specific watch on Damien's wrist." 10 minutes after the photos went live, the social media servers crashed. Damien Hale cheats on wedding night. Luna Latham, the homewrecker. Rachel Reed catches husband. Cheating 3 hashtags shot to the top of the trending list. Carla's phone was ringing off the hook. She covered the receiver, her face pale as she looked at me. "Rachel, it's Damien's team, and Mrs. Hale is on the other line." I nodded, gesturing for her to continue. "They're demanding you post a retraction immediately. Say they were stills from a movie or just friends who had too much to drink, and the angle was misleading." A small cold laugh escaped my lips. "A retraction? Why would I do that? I am Damien Hale's lawfully wedded wife. My husband abandoned me on our wedding night, and now I'm expected to cover for his affair with his ex Carla. Do I look like some brain-dead saint to you?" Carla was speechless. The door to my suite burst open. Damien stormed in, his eyes shot with blood. He was clutching his phone so tightly his knuckles were white. "Rachel, are you insane? Do you have any idea what you've done?" He slammed the phone down on the coffee table in front of me. The screen showed the photos I'd leaked. "Why would you do this?" "Luna is innocent," he roared. "She was just upset, so I went to have a drink with her. Nothing happened." I met his furious gaze, my own expression perfectly calm. "Nothing happened? Then why was she wearing your shirt? Nothing happened? Then why did you come home, hold me, and whisper her name all night?" The color drained from Damien's face, then flooded back in a wave of crimson. He looked like he was choking. He clearly hadn't expected me to be listening. "I was drunk," he yelled, his voice cracking. "I made a mistake. A mistake any man could make. Did you have to blow this up, ruin my career, and destroy Luna's life over it? I never knew you were so malicious." I rose from the sofa and walked toward him. "Damien, you destroyed our marriage. You destroyed yourself. And you destroyed that precious Luna of yours. Malicious? Compared to you two, I'd say I'm serving justice. And let me correct you on one thing," I added, my voice dripping with ice. "Not all men make that mistake. Only the ones who can't keep it in their pants. Don't you dare drag everyone else down with you." He trembled with rage, his hand flying up to strike me. I didn't flinch. I just stared at him, my eyes cold and unflinching. "Go on, hit me." Tomorrow's headline will be A-list actor Damien Hale's domestic abuse scandal. I guarantee you it will trend even higher than your affair. His hand froze in midair before falling limply to his side. Then, the phone rang again. It was Damien's mother, the formidable Eleanor Hale, chairwoman of Zenith Media. The second I answered, her imperious voice cut through the line. "Rachel, delete the post immediately. Then call a press conference and apologize. Say it was all a misunderstanding. You will not drag the Hale family name through the mud like this." I leaned back on the sofa, calmly filing my nails. "Mrs. Hale, the one dragging your family name through the mud isn't me. It's your darling son. On his wedding night, he chose to do this. The fact that I haven't filed for divorce yet is the only respect I'm showing the Hale name." There was a beat of silence on the other end, then a voice tight with fury. "What do you want? Film roles? Money? Name your price. Just make this go away." I blew a speck of dust from my nail. "I don't want anything. I just want what's fair." Mrs. Hale laughed, a cold, sharp sound. "Fair? In this business, power is fairness, and I have the power. Don't you forget Rachel, who gave you everything you have. Without the Hale family, you are nothing. So drop the naive act. I'm giving you 30 minutes to think it over. If I don't see a public apology from you in half an hour, you will face the consequences. In the photo, she wore a hospital gown, a pristine white bandage wrapped around her wrist. She was a picture of tragic fragility. Instantly, the public narrative flipped again. The hashtag Luna Latham's suicide attempt shot to #1, eclipsing everything else. My comment section became a cesspool. An army of self-righteous fans flooded in, cursing me with the most vile language imaginable. She tried to kill herself because of you. Rachel Reed is a monster. Damien, divorce her. You must have had the worst luck in the world to marry a woman like that. My heart breaks for Luna. We're here for you always. Damien called again. This time his voice was choked with tears and raw hatred. Rachel, Luna tried to kill herself. If anything happens to her, I swear, I will never forgive you. Are you happy now? Are you satisfied? I listened quietly to his tirade until he exhausted himself. Then I spoke, my voice soft but lethal. Damien, do you really think the world revolves around your tragic little love story? She cries, and it's my fault. She checks into a hospital, and I am the one who pushed her. What about me? I'm your wife, the one you two conspired to humiliate. Am I just supposed to take the abuse? To swallow my pain and say nothing? Go to the hospital. Stay by her side. And when you do, tell her to commit to the role next time. That scratch on her wrist looks like a paper cut. Today's audience isn't that gullible. My defiance was the final straw. The Hales declared war. The next day, the official social media account for the blockbuster film I was set to star in announced that I had been removed from the cast, citing personal conduct issues that have caused a negative social impact. One by one, my high-end endorsement deals released statements terminating our contracts. Carla held the termination letters, her hands shaking. It's over, Rachel. It's all over. Mrs. Hale is going to blacklist us completely. Overnight, I went from being one of Hollywood's brightest rising stars to a reviled outcast. Damien sent me a text. Is this what you wanted? I gave you a chance, Rachel. Get out of my house.
Now.
My lawyer will be in touch with the divorce papers. I looked at the message and laughed. Get out. This mansion, the one with the deed in my name, was a wedding gift for my parents. I texted back one word.
You.
He must have lost his mind because he showed up minutes later with 2 bodyguards in tow. Rachel, don't push your luck. This is a Hale property. You have no right to be here. He snarled, pointing a finger at me with an air of supreme arrogance. I remained seated on the sofa, watching his little performance with amusement. Damien, darling, has playing pretend for a living addled your brain? Open your eyes and read the name on the deed. This is my prenuptial property. It has absolutely nothing to do with you or the Hale family. Damien froze, completely stunned. He obviously had no idea. Behind him, Luna Latham leaned weakly against the doorframe, a perfectly calibrated expression of shock and hurt on her pale face. Damien, let's just go, she whispered, her voice barely audible. It's clear she doesn't want us here. Let's not make her angry. She tugged at his sleeve, the perfect damsel in distress. Damien looked at her, his eyes overflowing with adoration and pity. He turned back to me, his gaze venomous. You wait, Rachel. You will pay for what you've done today. I will make sure you never work in this town again. I stood and walked calmly towards them. Fine by me, I said with a smile. I'll be waiting. My gaze shifted past Damien, landing on Luna. Ms. Latham, the next time you decide to stage a suicide attempt, you should probably have a medical report to back it up, otherwise faking an illness for sympathy. People might think you're pathetic. Luna's body went rigid, her face turning an even more ghastly shade of white. Damien immediately shielded her with his body. Shut up, Rachel, he roared. Don't you dare say another word to her. I watched his white knight routine, finding it utterly absurd. Hurt her. I let out a cold laugh. Meanwhile, Damien and Luna were thriving. They attended a charity gala together, and in front of the cameras, Damien looked at Luna with boundless affection. I will handle my personal affairs as quickly as possible, he announced to the press, and give Luna the official status she deserves. The internet erupted, celebrating their epic love story, and I was cast as the villain, the evil ex-wife standing in the way of their happiness. Mrs. Hale called me again, her tone dripping with a condescending pity of a victor. Do you regret it now, Rachel? I told you you're no match for me, but I'm feeling generous. Kneel and beg me. Then, post a public apology, taking full responsibility. Admit you were jealous of Luna and maliciously started these rumors. Do that, and I might consider leaving you with a shred of a career. Her words were so preposterous, I could only laugh. Mrs. Hale, have you forgotten my last name? My father is Robert Reed. Though long since retired from the front lines, his name still commands immense respect in the world of finance. My mother is one of the country's most celebrated artists, a master whose students are scattered throughout the art world. I was never some helpless vine who needed the Hale family to survive. The only reason I hadn't used my family's connections was to preserve a final ounce of dignity for myself and for the man I once loved. But it was clear they didn't want it. Mrs. Hale's voice turned to ice. It seems you're determined to be stubborn. Then don't blame me for being ruthless. Rachel, I will teach you the true meaning of despair. After she hung up, my father called. His voice was as calm and steady as ever. Rachel, you've been wronged. Do whatever you feel you must. Your father will always be your strongest shield. Tears welled in my eyes. The pain and humiliation I had bottled up for days finally burst forth. Dad? I choked out. I'm okay. After the call, I wiped my tears and dialed another number. Interested in a business proposition? A low, smooth laugh answered me. An invitation from Ms. Reed? I'm always interested.
Tell me.
The voice purred. How do you want to play? I want to play to win, Julian. And I want the Hales to lose everything, I said, my voice steady, the tears already dried. The man on the other end was Julian Vane, the billionaire CEO of Vane Media Group, and the only person in this town with more power and a bigger chip on his shoulder regarding Eleanor Hale than I currently had. Julian chuckled, a low, dangerous sound. I like your style, Rachel. Eleanor Hale has held this town by the throat for too long using that Zenith Media monolith. You have information, I have infrastructure. Tell me, what did you see? I saw my prenuptial agreement, I said, walking to my wall-to-ceiling window overlooking the city. And I saw the financial writers Mrs. Hale attached to our marriage certificate, thinking I wouldn't notice. Zenith Media isn't thriving, Julian. It's a hollow shell, leveraged to the hilt, and supported almost entirely by offshore accounts linked to some very shady investments my father has been tracking for years. There was a pause, then a slow, appreciative whistle. You're not just a pretty face, are you, Ms. Reed? You're Robert Reed's daughter, through and through. So, you have the financial roadmap to their doom. I do. And I want to release it. But not yet, I said, tapping my nail against the glass. They want a drama? We'll give them the blockbuster. They want me to be the villain? Fine. The villain always has the best lines right before the hero realizes they're trapped. We talked for an hour, outlining a strategy that was less about a PR battle and more about total financial and social annihilation. Julian's team would begin quietly shorting Zenith Media stock. My job was to keep the public narrative focused exactly where Eleanor wanted it, on the tragic love of Damien and Luna. The higher they soared, the harder they would fall. For the next 2 weeks, I was silent. I didn't post. I didn't respond to the paparazzi who camped outside my gate. I let Carla handle the inbound vitriol, telling her to simply say, Ms. Reed is focusing on her mental health. This, of course, was interpreted by the public as me hiding in shame. Damien and Luna, meanwhile, were on a crusade of visibility. They were photographed holding hands at a children's hospital. Luna wore a cashmere sleeve over her bandaged wrist, looking angelic. They gave a joint interview where Damien wept, actually wept, talking about the anguish of being forced into a passionless marriage while his true soulmate suffered. Hashtag Justice for Luna and hashtag Damien and Luna Forever were trending daily. My name was only brought up as a cautionary tale of greed and malice. Even my old friends were quiet, afraid to associate with the blacklisted pariah. It was exactly what I wanted. They were building their own pedestal, higher and higher, making it incredibly unstable. The opportunity arose with the annual Zenith Media Gala, the glittering jewel in Eleanor Hale's crown. Every major player in Hollywood, finance, and media would be there. It was supposed to be the moment Damien and Luna officially debuted as a couple, signaling my final defeat. Carla looked at the invitation, her hand shaking. "You aren't serious, Rachel. You can't go. They'll boo you. They might actually throw things." "They won't throw anything, Carla. Not when they see who I'm with," I said, applying a layer of deep red lipstick. I was wearing a dress of sheer emerald silk, looking like poison wrapped in luxury. "I don't want to be an A-list actress anymore, Carla," I said, meeting her eyes in the mirror. "That's a role they can take away. I'm going to be something they can't fire, the owner of the stage." At 8 p.m., I arrived at the gala. I didn't take a limo. I arrived in Julian Vane's sleek, armored Rolls-Royce. When the attendant opened the door and Julian stepped out, offering me his hand, the wall of paparazzi went completely dead silent. For 5 full seconds, only the flashbulbs popped, blindingly fast. Julian Vane and Rachel Reed. The alliance no one saw coming. We walked into the ballroom arm in arm. Eleanor Hale, who was holding court near the stage, froze mid-sentence. Her perfect, Botoxed face tightened. Damien, who was standing nearby with Luna clinging to him, looked like he'd seen a ghost. A rich, powerful ghost. "Eleanor," Julian said, his voice smooth as silk as we approached. "What a charming gathering. It seems your family is the talk of the town." Mrs. Hale recovered quickly, her eyes narrowing. "Julian, I didn't realize you were on the guest list." "I'm his guest, Mrs. Hale," I said, offering her a sweet, poisonous smile. "I'm still technically a Hale shareholder, aren't I? Or did the divorce papers you rushed to my lawyer already finalize?" Damien stepped forward, his face flushed. "Rachel, what are you doing here? And with him? Have you no shame?" I looked at my husband, the man I had loved, the man who had held me on our wedding night, and whispered another woman's name. I felt nothing. No anger. No sadness. Just a profound sense of closure. "Shame, Damien? I think you've cornered the market on that," I said quietly. "Damien, please," Luna whimpered, pressing her face into his chest. "Don't let her hurt me again." "Hurt you, Luna?" I laughed, a low, cold sound. "Darling, I'm not even thinking about you. You're just a character in a movie that's about to be cancelled." Eleanor Hale stepped in, trying to regain control. "Rachel, you've had your fun. Leave now, or I will have security escort you out. You are nothing in this town anymore." "I wouldn't do that if I were you, Eleanor," Julian murmured, taking a glass of champagne from a passing waiter. "Securities and Exchange just halted trading on Zenith Media stock 5 minutes ago." The color drained from Eleanor's face. "What? Why?" "It seems there's a discrepancy," Julian continued, checking his watch. "A whistleblower, a very reliable one, backed by Robert Reed's forensic accounting firm, leaked evidence of the massive offshore tax evasion and money laundering that's been propping up your company for years." The room was silent now. Everyone was listening. The paparazzi, sensing blood, were pressing against the glass doors. Eleanor turned to me, her voice a hiss. You did this." "No, Eleanor," I said, meeting her terrified gaze. "You did this. On my wedding night, you asked me what I wanted. I told you I wanted what's fair. This is fair." Damien grasped his mother's arm. "Mom, what is he talking about? What whistleblower?" Julian smiled, patting Damien on the shoulder. "Oh, Damien, you really should read the fine print. And you should definitely know who your wife's father is. Robert Reed isn't just retired finance. He's the man the IRS calls when they can't find the money." At that moment, the doors to the ballroom burst open, and federal agents in vests that read FBI walked in, heading straight for Eleanor Hale. The scene was pure chaos. Eleanor Hale was escorted out in handcuffs, the chairwoman of Zenith Media taken away, like a common criminal. The story of Damien and Luna, the epic romance of the century, vanished faster than a Snapchat story. The headline was instantaneous and global: Zenith Media collapses. FBI arrests Eleanor Hale. Whistleblower is actress Rachel Reed. Damien and Luna were trapped in the ballroom, surrounded by the same press that had worshipped them hours ago. They were no longer victims. They were accessories. Damien had benefited from his mother's financial crimes, and Luna was the mistress of a man whose world was dissolving. I walked out of the gala with Julian Vane, the camera flashes blinding, but this time, they weren't accusing me. They were begging for a statement. I didn't give one. I didn't need to. Carla met me at the car, her face pale. "Rachel, you broke the world." "No, Carla," I said, stepping into the Rolls-Royce. "I just fixed the script." 6 months later, Damien Hale was no longer an A-list actor. He was a cautionary tale. He had lost his endorsements, his roles, and his dignity. Zenith Media was liquidated, its assets bought for pennies on the dollar by Julian Vane's media group. Damien was currently living in a rented condo in the valley, fighting his own mother over the crumbs of her remaining fortune. Luna Latham had returned to B-list obscurity. The tragic fragility that had once garnered sympathy now just looked pathetic. Without Damien's fame to cling to, she was quickly forgotten. Eleanor Hale was serving a 15-year sentence in a federal penitentiary. And me? I was standing in the center of my new office, the headquarters of Reed Production Studios. I was no longer blacklisted. I was the head of my own studio, backed by the Reed family fortune and the strategic alliance with Vane Media. I wasn't an actress anymore. I was a producer. The stories I told were complex, focusing on strong women who refused to be victims. Carla, my head of development, walked in with a script. "This one looks good, Rachel. It's about an underdog who takes down a dynasty." I smiled, looking out the window at the Hollywood sign. "I think I've already lived that one, Carla. Let's find something new." The night of my wedding had been a nightmare, but I had bartered that pain for something far more valuable than love, fame, or revenge. I had bartered it for power. And this time, I was the one holding the pen.